Hey guys, Preacher 357 here. I'm out here in the shop because I want to take a look at a gun that I purchased not too long ago that I've put quite a few rounds down range with. And I made a post regarding it stating that it felt awfully familiar. And that gun is the Ruger, and Magpul, it's a joint venture, RXM. And this is a gun that is essentially a Glock 19 Gen 3 clone. And I say essentially because it's not completely a clone. And so I want to just take some time today to look at this gun, a little close-up video here at my table here in the shop, and compare it to the original, the Gen 3 Glock 19, which I have right here. So I thought I'd strip them down, take a look at them side by side, and just get an idea of how much of a clone it actually is. And there's probably some other videos up about it, and I'm not going to be too detailed about it. I'm not going to get the punch out and start taking them apart and trying to interchange all the small parts. Just a basic overview of the two guns. It's kind of strange to me that Ruger would come out with a Glock clone, but I guess it has something to do with them joining together with Magpul. Magpul was looking for someone, I guess, to work with them in order to produce a gun. And since the patent, I guess it was, run out on the Glock 19 Gen 3 models, pretty much everybody and their brother is making something similar now. There's all kinds of different guns on the market that are essentially just a Glock 19 Gen 3. And I guess Magpul, who makes a lot of furniture and accessories and, for all kinds of guns, ARs and what have you. They also make Glock magazines, Glock compatible magazines now as well. Decided they wanted to get in on the action, and they've teamed up with Ruger to do it. So why don't we just take a look at them side by side. Not going to make too long a video about it, but why don't we get over here to the table and take a look at them. But before we go over there, if you would check out the link in the description. There's a link there for the GOA, the Gun Owners of America, for a discounted membership. You can get in the fight on the national level especially, but there's also a link there for the TFA, which I have the TFA shirt on here, Tennessee Firearms Association. If you live in the great state of Tennessee like I do, I'd encourage you to get in the fight on the local level. TFA is working hard. Unfortunately, not necessarily getting a lot done these days. We've got a Republican supermajority that doesn't realize it's a Republican, apparently. They don't realize, well, they may think they're Republicans, but they're not conservatives. We'll put it that way. And last of all, I've got a link there for Weatherbeard Supply Company. If you have a beard and you want to keep it healthy and smelling good, and you can go to Weatherbeard Supply Company and get beard care products there. And if you use the link I give you, I'll get a percentage of the proceeds to help me buy guns and ammo. So appreciate it, guys. Let's go over here to the table now and take a look at these guns. All right, guys, we're here at the table now, and I've got both pistols here side by side. And I think you can see there's definitely some similarities. The styling is a little different, though. Of course, the Glock is, I guess you could say it's pretty plain Jane. It's a no-frills handgun, which is what Glocks are. That's not a bad thing. They work, and they work extremely well, which is why they are so copied as a design. But the RXM has a few what you might call upgrades, better slide serrations here, better checkering than the Gen 3 Glocks had. You'll notice that the Gen 3 Glocks did have the finger grooves though, and the RXM does not keep the finger grooves from the Gen 3, which is one of the things I think a lot of people didn't like. Some people like them, some people don't. I can take them or leave them. They don't really bother me one way or another. But the RXM has some decent texturing on it. This is what they call an MOS model. It's an optics ready model, Whereas obviously the Gen 3 Glocks were not optics ready. Of course, these came out, I think, in 1998, and that was before the days of the small handgun red dots like we have now. But it does have a rail on the front. Looks like pretty much the same type of rail that you see on the Glock. I don't see that there's any difference one way or another between the two rails. They look fairly identical. The triggers are very similar. I'll just show you that right now. Of course, these are unloaded and they've been safety checked. But we'll take the Glock first. There's some take up, as there always is on a Glock. And then you hit the wall right there. There's a little bit of creep, and then it breaks. Some people call it sponginess. But it's fairly crisp. It's not a bad trigger. Now with the RXM, it feels very much like a Glock trigger. It's a little bit different in shape compared to the Gen 3 Glock. A little bit different texturing on the trigger, but it still feels like a Glock trigger. But you have a little bit of take up, but not quite as much. A little bit less take up, but then you have more creep, more travel. A lot of sponginess there before the break. So I really think the Glock trigger is better in that regard compared to the RXM. Because there's a lot of there's very little take up, but then there's a lot of creep, a lot of sponginess in that trigger. It's not a crisp break. However, when I put the trigger pull gauge on them, the Glock was pulling, according to my gauge, just a hair over 5 pounds. And the RXM was pulling it right at 4, maybe just a hair under 4. So there's a little bit over a pound difference in the trigger weight between these. This has a light trigger to it, being only about 4 pounds. But it's not as crisp. So, we'll call that a draw between the two guns. Also looking at the reset. The reset on the RXM is not too bad. And it's audible. But I can tell my hands are slipping there. I've got ballast all on them. It's not quite as short as the Glock. The Glock resets a little bit shorter. So how would I rank the triggers? Well, I think the Glock trigger is actually a little bit better. And Glock is not a gun that's known for its triggers, but I think the trigger is better. It's just not as light. So if you like a light trigger, you're probably going to like the RXM better. But if you like a crisp trigger, well, you may not love the Glock, but you probably like it better than the RXM. When I'm actually shooting live ammunition, though, I really don't notice a lot of that stuff. I don't notice the sponginess and all of that. It just really doesn't seem to register as much when you're shooting live ammo as it does when you're just testing them here in a controlled environment like this. And of course, here's the Glock magazine and the Magpul magazine. I've never had any issues with the Magpul magazines. Some people don't like them. They don't have the metal insert like the Glock magazines do. They've always worked for me, and of course, they're interchangeable. You can swap them backwards just like I did right then. But the question is, what do they look like under the hood? So let's break them apart here and take a look at these two guns when they're broken down. Let's put the slides beside each other. Now when you look at them from this side, they look a lot different because of the styling. But when you turn them over, they don't look a lot different at all. And you can see it's a Gen 3 Glock. I mean, and I'm not going to, but I have taken the barrels out and the recoil springs out and interchanged them. They all work perfectly well. This is all Glock Gen 3. Just straight up Glock Gen 3. I don't think there's any way around it that this is a clone as far as how it works. Looking at the frames here, you can see here very, very similar. A little bit different on the extractor, not much. A little bit different there. But what you really notice here is when you get up to the block, it looks different. And you can see right here, metal going down this side as well. And that is because this is a modular gun. You can take a punch and punch out the pins and pull out this cross pin here, and the trigger and the block and all of this will come out, and you can replace it with, you can replace the grip module with a different one. Say you wanted to change this from a Glock 19 style to like a Glock 45 style with a full length grip. I'm sure Magpul, if they're not already, is going to be making one that will allow you to do that. So you're going to get that type of compatibility where you can change things out, or you just want a different color maybe. You're going to have the option to be able to do that with pretty much any the Magpul grip frames that they will sell, which is, I'm sure, what their interest was in this collaboration with Ruger. And so that is what's different here. The uppers, as far as I can tell, there's 100% compatibility between the two. Now, I haven't pulled the strikers out, not everything else, but I'm just betting there's 100% compatibility, and that's what I've been reading. Now, when it comes to some of the parts here, because this is modular, it's not going to be as compatible. I've read that it's somewhere around 70% compatible versus 100%. And I think overall Ruger says it's about a 90% compatibility with Gen 3 Glock parts. So if you're wanting to do a lot of upgrading, you're wanting to do a lot of changes, you're buying a gun to customize it, the RXM is going to give you that customization, and it's going to do it for about $100 less than a Glock. Maybe not quite that much less than the Gen 3 Glock, but it is less. So there is that. And just to show you here, this is the Glock slide here. If I put it on the RXM frame, there you got the RXM with the Glock, and it works. And the same thing for the RXM slide on top of the Gen 3 frame. It does work. Looks kind of strange though on that Glock frame. Strange looking upper on it. This one actually looks pretty good. Of course, you've seen a lot of things like this before because people been putting Glock slides on top of aftermarket grip frames for a while now. But they are compatible in that regard. So the only real question is, how do they shoot? When I take them out to the range, am I going to notice a difference between them when I'm actually putting rounds down range? And I don't know, because I haven't shot them side by side. I know when I shot the RXM, it felt very much like a Glock. It was very familiar. Very, very familiar. But when I actually put them side by side, shoot one and shoot the other, will I be able to tell the differences then in the way they shoot? Will one shoot better than the other? Will I be more accurate with one versus the other one? What's reliability going to be? Of course, it's been 100% reliable so far, the RXM has. And I have no doubt the Glock will be as well. This is actually a Gen 3. I just picked up a brand new one, so I have not even shot this one yet. But when I do the range video for the RXM, I will compare them and shoot them side by side. So, guys, there you go. There is the first look here, I guess you could say, at the RXM that I'm doing here, and a little comparison between the two. And hopefully here soon I'll be able to get them both out on the range and get a little shooting done and make a video where I compare the two and give you my thoughts on them. So guys, I appreciate you coming out. God bless you. Y'all take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time.